Blog Talk Radio.
Hello. Hey there, everybody. Are you there, Rob?
Hello, hello. Good evening.
Hello. Good evening. So, you picked that song. Why did you pick that song? You want to tell us?
Yeah, I love that song. That's one of my favorite songs, actually. Like with the Rolling Stones, there's always quite a bit of a backstory and all the debauchery and everything that goes into it. And well, one, it's something that it's like eternally almost relevant with what's happening even now, like the apocalyptic nature of the song. And yeah, I just love the vocals by Mary Clayton. And there's a whole backstory to that. I won't get into that right now, maybe later. But I love her featured on the song. Great song, yeah.
Yeah, you can tell us the backstory if you want. Quickie version, I mean.
Well, yeah, essentially, the Stones were recording in America, and the producer at the time, he was saying that, what this tune really needs is a female vocalist. So Jagger just said, well, yeah, well then get one, because obviously, they haven't got all the contacts where they were in America. So the producer phones up Mary Clayton, who I mentioned, who was a kind of a gospel choir singer, church singer, not really a well-known name or an established solo act, but called her up, and then she's quite pregnant at the time as well, and it's after midnight that they phone her up. So she goes in, and well, her husband answers the phone, and it's like, you have to go. It's the Rolling Stones, of course, who wouldn't? And then she goes and just at around 3 minutes into the song, you hear her voice crack. She's hitting them notes, and you can even hear Jagger shout from behind the glass in the studio. He goes like, "Woo!" because she hits these like unreal notes. And a few weeks or a little while later, they discovered that Clayton actually had a miscarriage. And then, of course, as what goes with the sort of Rolling Stones, the whole, all the stories and all the infamy and all that, is say it's because of the exertions in the song, and all the things that was quite a heavy song. So a bit of folklore. There we go. Some trivia facts. If any of you go to pubs and play trivia, credit me to get that as a question. Yeah.
I guess we better get to the phone, right? I don't know the area codes as good as Jay does, but I'm going to try.
Yes, if you're calling in, let us know who you are.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to play the pre-thingy,
Yeah, play it now. Never too late.
Little thing. If I could find it, that is. Oh, here it is. Okay.
This Blog Talk radio show is supported and paid for by Cosa Nostra Radio. All expressed views and opinions of the host and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Cosa Nostra Radio and its leadership.
There you go.
There we go. Thanks, Jay, for lending your voice to that. And right, I'll go into a bit of tonight's show while you get the phones, Boo. Yeah, what we wanted to do is we wanted to have a bit of a theme to tonight's show and have some sort of at least foundation in terms of inspiration and having things that are connected. We're just trying out new things, and we always want to keep this talented group on their toes, because sometimes with a bit of inspiration it brings out the best of us. So what we did is we each chose a film, a song, a painting, a poem, and a book, and we put this together. And what many of the poems tonight are based on are those films, those songs, those paintings, poems, and books. And as a general wider theme for the night as well, some of the themes that are present in those works of art and those art mediums, and then as well as the sort of inspiration, that sometimes you get inspired by a song and you write something based on that, or I think subconsciously a lot of what we write anyways is based on that. I know in a lot of my writing, sometimes afterwards I figured out, I'm like, oh, where did I get that? There's no way it could have come from my brain. And then I'm like, oh yeah, well, I nicked it from a song from someone else, So, yeah, so we have a lot of nice poems tonight. I think what we'll try and do, in the next shows, the same sort of thing. Or if we have any more, depending on how they go, try to mix this up and try to have some sort of theme and things going. I've just browsed through a few of the poems for tonight, and there's some really good things, and it's inspiring to see what people come up with based on, especially on one of the paintings. I love writing to paintings, and to see the creativity that comes into that. So I think that's very cool. But yeah, we'll see what we come up with next. All right, Boo, who do we have with us?
Okay, first we got 978. Who's calling? He's on hold. Hello? 305, I'm pretty sure that's Raz. Raz? No, it's weird. It says, Let me see. I think okay. I think I see that. Hello? 305? Who's that?
Hello?
Oh, I'm sure. Hey there, Rosie?
Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
Fine, how are you? You're a little low, Boo.
Yeah.
A little bit hard to hear you.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's a bit on the soft side.
Okay, so
use your mom voice. Use your
my mom voice. Yeah, get over here. Stop it. No, get down. No, stop. No.
No, I can hear you.
There you go. See, you're 978, right?
Me? No, I'm 707.
707. Okay. So 305. Who's that? I think that's Raz.
Yeah, it's me, Raz. How you doing, Rob?
Hey.
Hey, Raz. Nice to have you. Thanks for calling in.
And 978. I don't know who that is. 978. Maybe.
Stalker number.
Hey. It's a goof. I guess they're on. I don't know who that is. What?
.com.
Anyway, there may be come back later. So you want to start with, Rob?
Yeah. Well, the show goes on. I'll just ask. Pleasantries. Is anyone in a rush? Does anyone need to read and run?
I'm willing to stay as long as you don't decide to throw me out, Rob. I'll be here with you.
We'll never throw you out.
This is to make up for all the times you have your shows and I don't call in that I'm heard. So I'm glad I came bright and early this time.
Okay.
You're always supportive, Raz.
Yeah, as long as we got some poems, we'll keep going. Right, so we'll start with we'll just start at the top then. I think we have a collaboration from Stephen and Kay.
Yeah.
Boo, do you have the audio for that? Yeah.
Yeah. When you drop the link, I'll get the thing. Okay.
Right. All right, I'm ready.
I thought they were in order, but what's the name of the poem?
The goose.
What's the name of the poem? Not in order.
Hostility.
Yeah, hostility.
I thought it was wrong. Okay.
Hostility is always closer.
Oh, here we go. Okay.
Definitely a feeling everyone goes through sometimes.
Hostility is always closer than a whispered scream, by Stephen 76 and K. The squinting evil eye sees less than the wide eye filled with wonder. Cerulean flames dance upon pinholed aluminum.
The gun rests beside the headboard, awning cloaked in obsidian. Sweaty groans as his eyes penetrate the shell. Vacation of flesh, fettered with fleas from his filth. His death or glory roars proudly.
Ravenous flickering constellations fade into the Ebon event horizon vacuum, piercing the snarled lips of angrily veiled castle walls.
A blow to the head, vertigo hazes vision. Stab and a slice, these susurrations of the rusty blade, are the price paid for pillaging.
Droves of children march through the abandoned toy store. Pinwheel eyes spin on socket breeze. Kneecaps and rib cages block breath. Kindling dreamcatcher bursts into flames. Claustrophobia drowns dread of the diving bell. Finger gun grit is just a shout away. 1950s faux picture portrait grins at.
Blood on the walls. And poem.
All right. Yeah, thanks so much for the audio, and thanks so much for taking part and for nailing 2 of the prompts as well. That's quite something. I think it's a fantastic collaboration. It's always difficult for me to do collabs, but yeah, it seems like you know each other quite well, so that worked well. I like in the title the juxtaposition with whispered and scream. I think whispered can be interpreted as something that's stifled or muffled, or something that's someone that's oppressed, and I think that works to the prompt of the song. I think in the opening stanza as well, squinting eyes, it's pretty much one of the best ways to describe Clint Eastwood as well. And then in stanza 2, some lovely alliteration. It works really well. It's really a pleasant sounding poem as well, which I always appreciate without being overly reliant on rhyme or anything sort of structured or forced. It just really works really well. It comes together well. Raz, what did you think?
There's definitely descriptions here of the term and subject hostility, which can be interpreted as nearly environmental at the beginning. You have how what the poets were discussing, it comes in different forms, and then they start off mentioning constellations fading, and then there's also the history of violence with castle walls, and from there it's a present state of a kind of political nightmare that children in every nation kind of get in the way of politics, and so we just don't know what to do with the condition we are now, but leaving it on that disturbing note of the blood on the walls, it's almost like stating there are these victims of hostility, and we can't read anything else but that color red.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, especially what you nailed is some of the phrasing, and it's just fantastic. I mean, pinholed aluminum, as I say across the pond, and then even some of the language used in this is just really beautiful. Like what I was saying originally, the language in this is fantastic. Boo, your thoughts, and then Irish Rose.
Can Rose go first? I'm sorry. Rose, could you comment first? I'm sorry, I have to read it again. So let Rose go.
Yeah, Rose, do you have a comment for Stephen and Kay?
Oh, yeah, I do. I thought Boo was going to comment, but yes, this is very much very much like the movie Gran Torino, but taking a different direction, just a tad. And like you were expressing, the language here is just really quite interesting. I really like the third stanza. Ravenous flickering constellations fade into the Ebon event horizon vacuum, piercing the snarl lips of angrily veiled castle walls. And I thought that those first two lines of that, and I thought it was just beautiful. And the whole emotional bend on this toward the end of the poem starts to get more dark, and you can feel something is going to be happening. And as the reader, once you get for me, when I got to the last part of it, that I knew there was going to be death somewhere because, he dies in the movie. But it was very graphic, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agree. It does tie in well with the film. Boo, you can go into some of the reasons why you chose the film and how it works with that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I love Clint Eastwood, and this movie. Racism is the big one in this movie, and his character, I like how he turns around. You know what I mean? He's so cold and so and then he turns around and he opens his heart and he gets to know these people. And I think the culture that he portrays very well. On this poem, I like how he put the picture there too, because I can never get a gift to work on my poems like that. But in the squinting eye, I see less of the wide-eyed with wonder. That says a lot right there. Clint Eastwood was a badass in every movie, but this one he was soft and he kind of turned around. I liked that ravenous flickering constellation fade, the ebon horizon vacuum. This whole thing is very descriptive, very beautiful. And that movie too, he turns around, he just starts to love the people, care for the people. I mean, that's the hard ass, and then blood on the walls, yeah, this is really strong, really good. I think it's just, for me, just speaking of violence and not to judge before you take the, judge a book. I think great to the prompt, too, the movie prompt. And thanks for sticking to the prompt, not one, but two. Awesome.
Exactly. Right. If no one's in a rush, let us know if you need to go, but I'll stay in the order. I'll drop Lawrence on the boards, and
actually, okay. After Lawrence, can we let the Bose and go after that? Okay.
Sure.
You're gonna read Lawrence, or okay?
Yeah, I'll read for Lawrence, and then is that okay, Rose? Is that fine?
Yes, it's fine.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll read for Lawrence 67. All right, so Lawrence 67, give me shelter from the storm. Give me shelter from the storm, something different from the norm. Invite me as I walk by. Tell your kids I won't make them cry. Give me something warm to eat. Let me rest my blistered feet. Let me sleep in your spare room, or on the couch and do it soon. Put a few bucks in my pocket. Close the door, but you don't have to lock it. Tell your friends what was my name, so that they can call all do the same. Have compassion and don't be judgmental. This is what we all have to do, because that homeless person could be you. God is watching forevermore what we do with the ones that they call poor. End of poem. Yeah, this was it was a great take on the song, and a very good message. Definitely. I mean the thought of especially now after what's happened in the world, the pandemic and all that, with the homelessness that I've noticed in my own country in South Africa, and then one that follows the news, I've seen that it's, in places like all the big cities, like from Paris to London to New York and LA, it's a bigger problem of what has happened with the pandemic, and this reminds us. It's almost it leans in a biblical sense to that whole thing of open your door for the homeless. It could be God is watching. So yeah, very good message, and it's extremely relevant. And I like how he tied it into the prompt as well. Rose, what did you think of this poem by Lawrence?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. I think it's really good to hear poems that talk of kindness and talk about morals and talk about value. And I don't hear a whole lot of them, but I found that this was really provoking and profound and powerful in an empathetic way. And I really thought he did a really good job on this. Kudos to you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's so many, so many of us actually. It's just one moment or one scenario away from being on the streets. They say usually, unless you got sorts of reserves that I know a lot of us don't have. But one decision away from being on the streets. So I agree with that. With the that homeless person could be you, as Lawrence so rightly points out. And Raz, what were your thoughts?
Rob, we got something on hold real quick. So who's 720?
Yes.
Man. Okay, go ahead, Raz. Sorry.
I see this homeless crisis to be pretty severe. Human displacement reaches a near billion on average worldwide, and there's no sense in letting others go without the very basics of their own human rights. And so although you try to take it away from one nation, it just keeps on growing in very massive proportions when you think of the global scale. And this is definitely, possibly not any step forward for the humanitarian movement, that there's ever any severe crisis of homelessness.
No.
Yeah, well said.
Okay,
It makes you think about the reset sort of thing about you won't own anything and be happy. I don't think anyone that's on the street is exactly happy. Yeah, Boo, have you got Rack and Sweet Pea?
Rack and Sweet Pea. Yep.
Yeah.
Hi guys, sorry about that. Yes. Hello.
No worries.
Boo, Sweet Pea. This is Jay's for, not mine. Sorry, Jay. Oh Lord, you'll see, Rose. This isn't easy. Jay makes it look easy, but it isn't.
Well, I know. I knew this was not going to be easy. I never thought easy.
Yeah. It's yeah. How are you doing, Sweet Pea? Racky Poo?
I'm doing well.
Yeah,
I like to be held.
Did either of you hear Lawrence's poem?
Yes, I actually did.
Right.
What do you think?
Some comments, maybe.
First off, I love Give Me Shelter from the Storm. I like the very first stanza, invite me in as I walk by, tell your kids I won't make them cry. Well, maybe I will. But I like the whole way it's put together. I like to have compassion, don't be judgmental. God is watching forevermore, and what we do with the ones they call the poor. I think it's a very universal message, and a poem where
all right.
Could be there in just a moment.
Okay.
Did you hear
your last thoughts? I'm gonna drop Rose on the board. Your last thoughts?
Yeah, this is different for him because usually, he's making us laugh and he's kind of like silly and this is very serious. I like that he used the picture that we made. That's cute. This reminds me of just, giving to somebody who has less than you and remembering human compassion and humanity, which so many people have forgotten. Just something little, something simple, a word or a smile or a dollar, whatever, could help somebody. And he says God is watching. And so true, when you get to Judgment Day, he's going to wish you would have done those things. I think this is heartfelt and good advice, really. Good job, Mart.
All right, Rose, I'll put you on the board. If you'd read for us, that'd be lovely.
Sure. Thank you. This was inspired by the prompt I chose was the untitled painting. And to me, it looked like the face of death. And I know that we have a lot of horrible tornadoes going on right now in the middle of the United States and killing people and everything. And it looked like the face of death to me for some reason. And it's untitled, so it's okay. I can say that. But anyway, so I call it Dance. And here it goes. Hurricanes dance in a compulsive romance of tangoing blue crystal light. In halls of silver strata, at a ball dance with summer winds, the trades dip boiling full at light. Across the ballroom floor, woolly wild winds flow, spinning in mighty rage-roaring ripping tides. And passionate surge till it forcefully rolls, rising high over tangle life. The dance now done, drowning men thrash desperately for their lives. In poem.
Great read and great write, Rose.
Thank you.
So basically a bit about Jean-Paul Basquiat. He was in a car accident at 7 and his mother gave him Gray's Anatomy, which he memorized, all the anatomy, and he also was a big fan of Da Vinci's notebooks on the anatomy. So skulls feature a lot in his work, and in this particular artwork, Untitled, which is the highest selling American artwork, I believe, today, $110 million, I believe. And what it has in it, and how I see the hurricanes, you can see it in the angry eyes, the gnashing of teeth. Then even with the backdrop of the sums, which I read a critic once write about the painting. The sums could be a calculation of the Black Lives Lost either on the slave ships or by police brutality today. It really shouts to the poem. I think it was excellently executed. Someone actually also, I read another piece where they compared it to some of William Burroughs' writing, where they relayed the whole thing of both being junkies, basically, but saying that they cut into the canvas because it's such a sharp thing that cuts into your senses rather than something that's gently caressing with strokes of finesse, something that's quite startling. It goes back into the whole thing of the anatomy. The skull could be of a slave or it could be of George Floyd. It's something that's quite timeless. It's something that's relevant today as it was. I think it was painted in 82, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I think you executed it very well to the prompt, and especially with tying it into something that's very relevant to you, the hurricanes. I thought that was excellently done. Rack, your comment, please.
That's an interesting take on the skull. I don't see too well, so I wouldn't have even made out that it was a skull. But I thought that was an interesting bit of trivia too about that being the highest sold painting. But your idea of a hurricane and the destruction of a hurricane is beautifully illustrated throughout this. If it was any other picture, I would take this as being sensual. It's there is undeniable destruction, obviously caused by that kind of natural disaster. So it totally makes sense to tie that in as what you saw. Again, not being able to see that's what you showed me. So you did a good job of it. You really did, because again, I need someone to help me fill in the blanks, and you did it. And this is beautifully illustrated. That the language that you chose, there was quite a few phrases that were absolutely stunning. That really hit me. A lot of words have emotions tied to them, intentionally or otherwise, and you really hit on some of those that have that kind of destructive feel to them. Just devastating.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I really appreciated this for quite a few reasons. It being able to be taken more than one way, I think, is the beauty of it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Boo, if you could, have you got Jay and a comment to tail? In the meantime, Raz, could you make a comment for Rose?
Yes, there's a deep connection with religion in this rite, and the poet perceives the hypocrisy of the church on when to extol one's sins and when to have them punished or forgiven. And so
I think we're on the wrong phone.
In this rite, are we talking about... oh, no, we're not. You're right.
I was going to say.
I skipped over to an entirely different rite. I don't think
I'm in the church business here.
I don't see what I was reading that had to do with Rose. Hold on a second here. Could you give me a minute to refresh the page?
Yeah, that's fun.
I was looking at the next preceding one by Roy K. B.M. and the Evil Eye. But let me see.
Hey, Raz, our names sound the same, but I'm the blind one.
Yeah, the dance. Okay, this is entirely different than what argument I was just stating here. Very abstract. You have that feeling of what it was with New Generation in the 80s, what will become of the beats into the postmodern generation, and that loss when you get into that right kind of music, any form of discotheque or anything that plays and moves you to the soul, that one could somehow find a way of attaining a higher sense of their own spirit, being more in tune with the rhythm.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's always fun. It's always amazing to hear the different perspectives. Jay, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
All right. I know you're in a bit of a rush, so Boo's dropped your poem.
Okay, and Momo, I'm going to try getting you that invite.
Thanks.
And here we go. This one I picked your song, Rob, Give Me Shelter, and I picked Boo's poem, which was, what was it again? Her Voice. And then I also put in Ernest Hemingway's A Farewell to Arms, and I mixed it all together, and I call this A Farewell to Arms. And it goes like this. Those first shots, fireworks on the skyline, Wolf at a desk, Bernard at the Al-Rashid. Thousands of pounds of shock and awe, mesmerizing Wheel of Fortune junkies. Storm no one expected, but poured into a whiskey glass to down in one swig.
fire on foreign streets, in the thirst and burn. But this wasn't risk. Move your horses to the Middle East, but can't have your Asia bonus. Put on the salad suit, right hand skyward, palm forward, repeating a chant that knots your walk to your brain. Let it break you. If it doesn't, it kills you. Only the broken pieces fit into the half-chiseled slots. Only the strong walk in the broken plots. Rain came with the floods and the deluge, a rogue wave ripping the foundations. I learned to love, even if no one understands. Love is a broken place where the strong shatter, become stronger and know everything is never enough. 2 feet on the sand, generators vibrating skulls, clearing out the urinals from the scorpions and the camel spiders. Kuwait was the sneak preview of hell. No air to breathe but to burn. Live in tents, move at night, repeat, rinse, rub ass and back, soar on the C-130 to biop. Wake up to the same sun, new air. Look upward at the date palm, fauna, canopy, sandburn before Z Lake, finger of divinity, breaking me further in love to the pieces. Grim spots, mortar rounds in the mushrooms, shrapnel in the popcorn, battlefield crosses in the pine boxes. Left Baghdad on fire to return to the snow, more broken than you'll ever know. This is the way love flows. Everything crumbles, dust storms in the lungs, and love is the broken place. I never wanted to love again. Snapdragon fading to fall, violet and royal hues thirsty for foreign springs. My dry and arid tongue, blistered from the titanium dust, lined in the Baghdad crud. I've died, broken, to arrive here. Final point, my farewell to arms. If I break again, I am stronger, but I can take no more. Every vessel poured out eventually becomes empty, and the mended wineskins will fail with time. The world was too small for 2 flowers. Guess it's time to wilt and break again. End poem.
Yeah, damn, that was probably my favorite one of yours I've ever heard, Jay. That was amazing. Firstly, this is the first book I've ever read of Hemingway's. I love the book. And yeah, there's so much in this, and because there's quite a few of us to comment, I won't keep it too long. But for those that don't know, shock and awe, the way that it works as a metaphor in this is it's a military tactic, like that was used in the Blitzkrieg and in Iraq, is saying to completely disorientate or overwhelm the. It's a tactic using those measures. I like the use of risk, the same way that like Monopoly, you can use it as something that's a critique of ideologies. In that case, it's a critique of capitalism. Risk could be related as a critique of colonialism and modern colonialism, and even further, it goes into sort of techno colonialism. So I think that worked really well, and the way that it's almost played by some sort of cigar lounge gambling game by oligarchs, and the phrases throughout are just really very, very well done. And then the closing lines, like you said, you execute to three prompts altogether plus Hemingway's, and then the closing lines echo the title and the source of your poem with the summary of the star-crossed lovers. So I found that really, really well done, Jay.
We need to pick up 2 people that are holding us. You don't mind?
All right.
Momo, I think, and...
Okay. Raz, in the meantime, can you give us a comment, please, mate?
Yeah, JCA has talked about his experiences in the Iraqi war in the past, and this is from a soldier's perspective, which makes it all the more genuine of what there is serving in the armed forces or the military. And so when he sees Ernest Hemingway's Farewell to Arms, that's really the cry of a former generation, World War II, by comparison to the Iraqian War. And what there is with the whole concept of these conflicts does not alter historically that one person dies on the battlefield for another to be saved.
Right.
Thank you.
Great comment. All right. Is Rose, are you still with us? No? All right. Rack, do you have a comment for Jay?
Yeah, I really like this, Jay. I had heard not the three prompts that you did, not that it doesn't fit them, but I heard Pat Bennett saw love as a battlefield. And I saw a lot of parallels between love and war and things like that, which is why I heard that in my head. But I like what oh my God. The section where you were talking about risk, I enjoyed that a lot too. Almost like, some people treat war like a game in my head. That's what I saw when you mentioned that, and and you're saying clearly it's not a game, and you don't get your bonus. I thought that was really clever, especially considering what's going on with the world now. And then that last line really ties more to the prompt than what I said. But, my mind is twisted to begin with. It's hard to get to sometimes. But, you clearly tied it exactly what you said in the ending, and brought about, the emotion of love being more than love being something that's worth fighting for, and despite everything that's going on around us and everything else, and the devastation that war can bring, in the same way relationships can fall apart too. This is wonderfully layered and well written, Jay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Agreed. So just before, I think Boo's letting in quite a few more callers. Jay, your show tomorrow, and then
we have two people on hold, Momo and
yeah, we got.
Yeah. Jay.
Yeah, noon Eastern tomorrow at our house, and then on Saturday at 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, we're going to have On the Verge with me and Verge, and we're going to talk about, if you got this, how words can change the world.
Awesome.
Yeah, great show. Great.
Okay.
All right. Sweetie's here too, don't forget. And are you here, Momo? And then, I don't know if she's there. She's on Skype, so.
Right, Sweetie, do you have a comment for Jay? Because I'm sure he's in quite a bit of a rush. So just to get comments for Jay quick.
Hey, good here.
Hey, Sweetie.
How are you? I just want to tell you, the raw day passion in your imagery leaves my skin of gunpowder. My mouth filled with sand, my mind filled with horror, and my heart filled with love. And I thank you forever.
Thank you, sweet. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Great, man. Boo, do you have a closing comment for Jay?
Yeah, well, I know that you were really proud of this one, and you can see why. There's a lot going on here. I see heartbreak. I see comparing it to war, and sometimes like war. I love that movie too. I love Farewell to Arms. I think it's successful. Wheel of Fortune junkies, storm no one expected, very whiskey glass. So, damaged the souls just come back. They come back to other people, and they never remain the same. And I've died, broken to arrive here. Final point. Because you've seen it all. You've been there, and you're just like, you're done with it. And that makes me sad, but very strong. I love the wording. It's every emotion you can imagine. I think it's really great, and I love the structure. You did a really good job, Jay. Maybe
I appreciate it, Boo. Okay, I got to go, guys. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Bye. Right, Boo,
there's
who do you
somebody on
have?
608, but I don't know who that was. So I guess they hung out. There's somebody on 11111, but they're not talking. So
That's probably
Could have
me.
been the United States military.
yeah. Okay, that's you, Rat? Okay, that's good.
Unless someone new called in, then it could be Skype. Skype called, I think, does 111 also. But
yeah.
Skype and block
cool.
calls.
Okay, cool. All right, that's good. Because I knew we were gonna have a new caller, a first-time caller, but he didn't call yet. So, okay, who's next then, Rob?
All right, I'm gonna drop Rack. You got the audio for that, yeah?
Yeah. What's the name? Let's see. I got it.
Still.
Okay.
All right, I'm dropping it on the board.
Okay.
Still, by Racantour. I wonder if I ever stood a chance. After all, what do I know about romance? You loved me for me, stared into my soul and embraced it, trusted me with your heart, and I went and misplaced it. And when closing your eyes could no longer ease the pain, and thinking of me caused your spirit to drain, you simply had to walk away or risk going insane. How I feel doesn't matter if we can't get past the strain. Oh, how I wanted to. Don't think for a minute this means I've stopped caring or ever will. What we had meant the world to me. I cherish the laughter and pleasure still, but the hole left behind is one I can never fill. You're truly gone, and long after reminders of us have turned to dust, and the tears I've cried have dried, I'll still love you. End poem.
Yeah, damn. Nice poem, Rack. Yeah, very reminiscent. Whether it be something that's from experience or something completely fictional, it speaks well to the prompts, to the songs that you've used. I think it's quite relatable to a lot of us. Things that we've gone through. Where things that have happened in relationships have become almost reflex, and our inactions and our actions have caused the disintegration of the relationship without any intention, but it still happened that way, and it purely comes down to almost a lack of communication in that aspect, because I don't believe that these sort of things happen overnight, but it's still something that progression and a build-up of things, and it really comes down to the lack of communication. But I think to some extent, anyone that's gone through at least maybe 3 relationships, because I've probably had that, not that many, but yeah, definitely have seen this happen, and very relatable, well read as well. I like that as well. All right, who else do we have with us? All right, Sweet Pea, your thoughts for Rack?
I think it's a lovely end to a love story where salty tears burn old wounds.
Agreed.
Thank you.
You're welcome, my dear.
And Boo, your thoughts? Comments?
She's talking to the mute button.
Yeah. Right, Raz.
How'd you know, Rack? How'd you know? Sorry. This is a new one, Rack, huh? Well,
Yes,
I always think
this is
you're reading.
really
So it's like you can't help
romantic poem.
Listen.
Wait,
and
which
everything
one
you
you
write
asked
is
is Boo?
here, and this is nothing new. You know, you're emotional. You're not afraid to show it. I think a lot of men are, and you know, so that's one thing. But I like the picture too. But if you ever had a chance, I think we all wonder about that. Maybe the one that got away, or the one that you just felt you didn't do them right, or it wasn't the right time, maybe, or something like that. We've all had those feelings. Don't think for a minute this means I stopped caring or I ever will. It's those ones that change your life that you remember that you always love till the day you die. If you're on your deathbed, you still love them. So, like you ended there, I'll still love you. And very moving. And you just wrote this. I thought it was very beautiful, and I was touched. Nice job.
Thanks, Boo.
Yeah, sorry, that was my fault that you were speaking over each other. I think I need to wait for people to get back off mute. But yeah, sorry, Raz, you were saying.
Yeah, deeply romantic, and as they're expressing in the previous panel call, you have a sensitivity from the poet in which he's accepted things are over, and that's really just that. But if they had just the slightest heart to ever change their mind, you would never know why that door could still be open.
Yeah, that's definitely more about, the feeling and the emotion than why it happened. It's that it's not going to change how I felt. Thanks, Raz.
And it never will. If you really care about somebody, that you don't change how you feel. You might try, but it was only that easy.
Yeah. They get under your skin.
Yep. Can't shake them. Damn it. Even the harder you try. Good poem, Mac.
Right, yeah, and there's something very very human about us being so reminiscent about things, kind of replaying scenarios, even though it's impossible that it would be any difference because it's happened and it's been and it's done, but still to kind of live in these fantasy dimensions of alternative outcomes, which is, I think quite a strange thing that we torture ourselves that way, but we do it, don't we? Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. If no one's in that much of a rush, I'm going to drop Joseph Moon, and if Raz, if you could read that for us, and then next we'll do Sweet Pea, if that's okay.
Is that okay, Sweet?
Yes. I was thinking to myself how insane could be the reactions from the audience members on considering what goes on here. People are strange, but in the end, LCN is still the family. So I will read for Joseph Moon, and I've done this in the past. As you all know, he's an English professor who retired, and what there is of his life is tragic, that his wife has been lost. Those are some details of this poet. Also that he likes drinking glorious amounts of wine. But here we go with the poem. The day we met. The day we met, two spirits reached out to each other. I remember our first touch. Her hand was like a white lily. Her brightness, sweetness, and grace opened my orbs and showed me the joy and sorrow of love. We sat in silence. Real beauty has its own intangible language. It lies in the spiritual marrow that is tilted love, which can live betwixt soulmates, and the heart is full of affection. And the poem.
Thanks, Raz. Excellent read. And Joseph, what we've come to expect from you in terms of your sort of classical old master approach to poetry, it's really your essence in a lot of your work, whether it be something rhyming or free verse or whatever it is. just in between your language use, your phrasing and metaphors, and even some of the things like spiritual marrow, I think is just absolutely fantastic. A really well written poem. Thanks for sharing with us. Right, Sweet Pea, your thoughts?
There's no good on the radio. Sweet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying how lovely and inspirational Joseph always is to me, and what a fantastic poem this is. And other things, but I'll just shorten it. Sorry.
Yeah, so nice you said it twice. Once from me, once for all of us. Right. Rack, what did you think, mate?
Yeah, he touches on the intricacies of the relationship, how she affected him, in a profound way, really. That connection, and that was part of what made it so strong, I guess. And I mean, it's just beautiful, Joseph. We all feel your emotions when you do this to us.
Yeah,
thank
absolutely. You. He takes us on a journey every time. Right, and Raz, you got to read it, so.
Yes, I see the genre is spiritual love and death, and I can't help but think he's still grieving over his wife in this piece. And it's done with a sense of impressionism and a bit of aesthetic quality in which that she's gone now, but still vibrantly alive in that very memory of love, which goes undying to him, like with the white lilies.
Yeah, thanks, Raz. All right, Sweet Pea, I see you've dropped yours on the board.
Yes.
All right, you can read for us whenever you're ready. Go for this.
Okay. This is kind of based on the Unknown Lady, A Million Little Pieces, and her voice. Perception, do you see me? Do butterflies still flutter in stomachs that drip with acid rain? Can smiles meld with gunmetal, shine on burnt faces full of pain? Antifreeze dissolves teardrops on cherry cherub cheeks, chilled against chapping in the shadows of self-retreat. Orbital reflections from a stranger's face create fairy tale kindness that crumbles with fate as the screams within the synapses crackle between the bridges of shame and disgrace. Extinguished fireballs of desire no longer reign. Glaciers float in frozen veins. Ice crystals shred the bone in off-key sounds of a two-pronged saxophone. Voice of an angel speaks in poetic tones. Ears listen to the devil's rhetoric in palindromes. Confusion spins on rusty subway turnstiles, and self-esteem vomits yellow bile. Eyes in the mirror stare back on repeat, believer of hope crushed by defeat. The cruelty of knowing the internal history tells no white lies and rots within the core, leaving no mercy. And poem.
Fantastic read and write, Sweet Pea. So what I was actually saying to Boo earlier about about our prompts and everything, because it's a little bit of a trial and error. You're all involved in the skinny pig experiment. Thank you very much. But to see what people come up with and what works, really, because this is about everyone that writes in and everyone that's involved, the people that call and everything. So to see, okay, well, this works, this doesn't work, no one wants to do this, people like to do this. And I was saying that my favorite writes actually have all been for this picture and the way that people have interpreted it, because it really, it requires an element of creativity to just see this, because it's such a snapshot or such a small frame of, it's an entire human being or it's an entire person, but you just see the small parts of her. And that's a lot what poetry comes down to. It's taking snapshots of life and then expanding on that and making a bigger sort of realm out of it and creating sometimes an entire universe even from that. So I thought this was fantastically written. Some of the phrasing, I like the alliteration in stanza 2, cherry cherub cheek, and then Chapin. Really, lovely written, Sweet Pea.
Thank you.
Yeah, Boo, are you with us?
Boo's talking to her mute button again.
Yeah. I won't jump the gun and just get someone off because then it's going to be two people speaking at the same time, so I'll give it a moment. Boo?
She might have got busy too.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
She's working.
Racantour, your comments?
The thing Sweet Pea always seems to do that I love. She has a way of taking these seemingly innocent, beautiful images and eviscerating them in the same sentence. She'll talk about something, and then she'll be talking about yellow bile. She'll bring out this image and start you down a path, and then give you whiplash and take you in the complete opposite direction, almost like she's not sure if you're paying attention. But the pain in this and the stuff that you go through in this is just it tears at me a lot. I hear things and it forces me to think things and obviously none of it's based in fact because I haven't knowing any of it, but my mind works sometimes. It's just you lay out a picture that's just just make me want to give you a big hug.
Thank you, Rack.
Yeah, I'll just also add, I'm busy looking at the word synapses. I actually wrote an entire essay once on just why, as a prefix was my favorite prefix. So I like that. I'll point that out. That's just a weird quirk. Raz, you have some comments. Sorry about that.
Yes, there's definitely a heavy amount of pain here, how there's that one illusion, what you originally believed of popular symbolic images like cherry cherub and what you have of fairy tale kindness, and all of that disintegrates under the bridge of shame and disgrace as you proceed with this poem. It's kind of a bit like Sexton, even, on bringing those known metaphors of poetry into a modern context of society where everyone who said that you would do better or were looking after you are bound to be a terrible disappointment.
Thank you, Raz.
All right. Boo, if you are able to, Sol was trying to get in. If you could answer that.
Okay. All right.
Thank you so much. And by the way, we appreciate you so much. We know you're doing a million things at the same time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for hearing the ship, as they say. In the meantime, I'm going to drop Raz, so Raz can read for us while you answer everyone and get all that sorted.
Yes, I thought of this right shortly after the mortuary at Poetic Slice of Life yesterday. Spend 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning thinking it out for myself. And this is called Timing Description. Appointed change of schedule, death fixation, The dog was who deserved the vaccination. Little girl missing. It gets happen. One-dimensional beings described around the broken scenery. Details do not match any such description. Little evidence of cause of suspicion. A fiber reporter would have the whole web come undone. Guy with the grandma underwear. The National Socialist Organization nurse morphine sex fetish desire could blush the colors of night fluster. Map indicator marker, Idaho mugshot, 10,000 miles from red-shaded Missouri. You don't need to be doing what you're doing, sir. Office supply secretary, a buzz call from security. You should remain here while I call in backup. Easily said, then. Domed, truant veracity. Society's all the cogs in motion, and the room with the shattering clockwork, prompt marching crescendo, musical ventriloquism, suction cup filling the gas pump. Pieces of the grace outline the heavy shadow falling over the heartland. Video recorder footage showing the innocent kid at play prior to the abduction can crawl the worming skin. Prime masquerade, private thought of the recording altered to repeat. Personal and hidden realization with the 88mm skeet. 22 short flap. Emotional granted jury verdict motion. Eastern County, Maryland, 1980. Underlined section telegraph. The maker in the control paragraph statement has his way. ID discovery of classic profiles. Anybody remind you of the killer characteristic lately? Gibson searched the address location, 2 a.m. All was well to presume the latter disappearing. The criminal wins at times, historically. The OJ believe in the valid premise of criminal mystery. Something chases behind, the shoulders sprinting from the descending black nightmare hot pursuit, with a bad dream catch up to present tempo. Convicted murderer, close affinity to death, a stereotype of digital figures off stereo. Tell Nick Captain what's on your mind, the voice said, when the crucial moment was upheld to judicial court, secluded of the privy novice. Hunting the supernatural monster like a removed Bible chapter intertwined with deadly effects here ever after. Lost visual to potential in the subject matter, and at work, the bloated faces of the masks of the stars on, dimming the reception to the outcome foresight. Why waste life gloating about voice and heart not being equally productive, shoveling the dirt for the digging windpipe ditches? Garrett, so many years later, crying on himself at Richmond, Virginia, with the perfect white townhouse porches of letting the bastards clean the saucer and the scrapper. There had been a functional component to the hijacked membrane circuit board, started shooting up on the bone marrow, ran out of ashes to dust, paint a holographic photograph, Aimé Monet, to the sitting chancellor for Austin, chamber church organ skittering. Risk the hazards to one's death. The fire brigade blazes away, containing the smoke storm. 1970 demolished squad, dormitories in Michigan. Previous case file indicate official police complaint, detained withstanding the rightful warrant. Can you remember anything significant? Because they never got help and won't ever know. Nobody loves me. Nobody loves you. Nobody saw what it all means. Nobody else will ever do. Give up trying to play detective with a smuggler attic space, honeysuckle. I'm going to drop dead in the next 2 minutes, and there's not a logical explanation why. Sunday, 7:28 p.m., May, early summer, till full dusk. Emergency attention, waiting deduction. Think, what perfect timing description. End poem.
Awesome, thanks, Raz. Well read, and most people know that modernism is my probably favorite form of poetry and movements. I'm a massive believer and supporter of that movement, and your use of allusion and referencing and the extended analogy that you always carry through the use of individual metaphors and how it all ties in is just absolutely phenomenal. The skill of tying it all together is always so impressive without having to rely on using a vignette structure to break it up and using almost like the jump cut scenes of Godot, and then also breaking up into stanzas. I think the skill of that is truly admirable. The flow of it works so very well. Your storytelling, I mean, I'd love to read, maybe some like fiction of yours, and if you write a novel anytime, then let me know, because damn, if that's what you can do in such a short space. I think in the beginning, the pop culture and the 27 Club sort of romanticism of death is alluded to there. I saw something about the missing girl, which I thought about Maddie McCann a few years ago in Portugal. Something, these are just reading the first few lines as you're going along, and I see things about, erotic auto-asphyxiation. There's just so much in this that, is just really phenomenal, how much you get, the layers and the layers and the layers that you get through with your poetry. It really amazes me every time. Just while we're busy, Salwa, are you with us? Have they answered you?
Yes, I am here. Sorry, I was on mute. I remind me of Montaigne. I don't know if you know Montaigne. He wrote intensively, a French writer, about dying, how to learn to die. Just for some reason remind me of that. It's almost like you talk about realistic stuff. I love what Rob said. Like you take this concept and take it all different perspective and dimension. That's why there's layers and layers. And here is no shortage of this. I see almost like before we don't know really when we're gonna die. Sometimes, unfortunately, these girls, even us, we don't know when we will depart. And this is very meaningful and very profound, right? Because we don't like to talk about it. It's life. We don't like to talk about that. We ignore it and we just move on with life. But we see it, and we in different ways every day. Everyone knows someone who died in their family in a way or another. So that's why it took me. But there's more than that. Can you remember anything significant? Because they never got help and won't ever know. Nobody loves me. And and especially now, it's so sad at this time. I think you also put it there. People are dying alone with this corona. No one to be there for them. No one. It's just the most horrible experience. I hope no one has to go through this, and I feel sorry for the people who lose their family like this. It's just, I can't imagine. They can't even say their goodbye. So, and the timing, we always put timing very specifically. There's so much, but because I was literally listening and trying to get in my brain, I read it, but I have to read it. That's my first impression, but I have to read it again. Absolutely outstanding as always.
Exactly. Yeah, there's so much to it.
My pleasure.
And I agree. I mean, the relevance in today's time where so much of it is happening in nursing homes and everything. Boo, I think you've let someone else in, haven't you? Boo.
Now I say hello, everyone. Sorry, I just wanted to say hello to everyone. Sweet Pea, I don't get to see her a lot, so Sweet Pea, especially Sweet Pea.
Hello.
And Rajan.
Hello, Sawa.
Hi.
Sweet Pea.
And hi, everyone.
Could you make a...
Yeah, let's go in. I'm sorry. Hi, Sawa.
Yeah.
Hello.
Sweet Pea, you come in for Raz, please.
Oh, I am thoroughly impressed with mentions of the serial killer who used grandma's underwear for, God knows, a lamp or whatever he did.
What happened?
Sweet.
Yeah.
We lose her?
It seems like she's dropped in the suddenness of her silence. So I'll go on with Rack. If you...
Oh my goodness, today.
If you could hold the silence.
Raz has a wonderful ability to give us a stream of consciousness laced with pop culture and taking us all over the place in a very layered way. And on first blush, a lot of people will say, it's abstract or it doesn't have anything to do with itself. But the more you dig, the more you can see the connection, and that's the beauty in the way he writes, I think. I see this, as someone kind of contemplating their mortality, mentioning about being alone and being loved and everything else, and when they're going to die. And I really enjoyed it, Raz. You've got, a very unique style for this site. I don't know outside or wherever if there's anyone else that writes the way that you do, but, I can always count on when you bring us something that it's got, like Sweet Pea was mentioning the underwear. You've got, I can't even think of another example of something in there, but, all of that laced into the same poem. And it does make sense, despite what some people might say. My warped mind sees it, so it's got to be true.
Yeah, excellent comment, Rak. Exactly, I agree 100%. I mean, these are the sort of poems that you can just write an entire thesis on just about, because every word means several things, Boo, your thoughts?
Boo.
I think she's conferring with Sweet Pea.
You're talking about perception being see me, right?
There you are.
There you go.
Yeah. I love that.
Welcome.
Okay, so you talk about Sweet Pea, right? I knew Sweet Pea was going to fix this one.
No. We with Raz.
Oh, with Raz. Sorry, Sweet Pea. I'm way behind. Oh, Raz, sorry. Okay, I need a minute. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, we brought up underwear, so it's okay to be behind.
Yeah, you just fold them inside out and you wear them again, don't you? Okay, well, we can get back to that, Boo. You can leave a comment or something. We know you're very busy. You're still at work and everything. In the meantime, are you able to play Salwa's SoundCloud? I'll put the link on the board. Boo.
Maybe Raz can help. Raz or Racantour, they know how to do it. I feel so sorry for Boo. She's running back and forth, poor thing. Raz or Racantour, can you help? Hello?
Yeah, I could put the link if Boo's occupied right now for you, Rob.
She's concerned with someone hitting the play button because she's got an audio out there, and we don't know what Boo might have named it if she put it in the studio.
All right, we can get back to that.
I could place it on the board though with the hyperlink.
All right, no, we can go on. We need for Laughing Soul, we can put something on. She'll need a reader. Yeah, Salwa, if you don't mind.
Oh, sure. I would love to read her. I'd be honored. I'll be honored. Okay.
All right.
I love her writing. Wires. I'm on or not? Yes, I'm on. I thought I was on mute. Sorry.
Perfect.
Okay. Wait, not for blooms on barbed wire. Light the word with kindness, like wildfire. Fear I've seen dwell in eyes so naive. Those migrated in circumstances dire. Hearts yearn to love and mortal some. Wander beyond boundaries and the masked pyre. Sunshine, one seeks, close not doors. What shame we built walls so higher. Evoke though conscious, be true, be you. Only then shall you brave. Then I admire. End of poem. Laughing Soul. Oh goodness. I love this poem.
Thank you, Salwa.
My pleasure.
Lovely, right, Laughing Soul. Raz, do you have a comment for Laughing Soul?
Yes, definitely. I see this writer putting out a little bit more each time of what their potential talent is trying to develop into a more masterful stroking of these pieces. At first, she seemed a bit coy on mentioning how there's a conflict in our own society, but now she's become a bit forward, and it's very true that we have to set these boundaries, like she's pointing out, when it comes to respecting one another enough to not carry out senseless, brutal wars in which everyone loses. So when the poet reaches that perspective from the humane point of society, they're usually very lucid, not why these nations decide to only increase our own global losses.
Excellent comments. Agree. G, I think that's the nickname. I enjoyed the rhyme throughout, the sort of A, B, C, B, D, B, E, B, F, B. I like the sort of the call to arms, that, almost the kind of, the sort of, wait not for, what other people do. You should light the world with your kindness. The thoughts of nature and art in relation to artists. I like the ending. Only in your grave they'll admire. Speaking to the prompt and the general theme of this evening of sort of different mediums of art and being inspired by that. Something like we were speaking about earlier with maybe Jean-Michel Basquiat, his success during his life that he experienced, or someone like Picasso who also experienced success in his life. But then we also think about poets or rather painters like Van Gogh, who he saw one poet painting in his life, which I think in inflation considered, it was worth about $2,000 in his whole life, where today several of his works, or 7 paintings of his, are valued at just under $1 billion. It's about $950 million. So that ties into the general theme for me at the end there. I thought it was a well-written piece, and again, the rhyme structure was saying quite nice for me. That stood out. Right, Salwa, you got to read it.
Oh, I love this poem. Anything that touched to humanity really moved me, and this is one of them. God created us to really connect with each other and help each other, not do the opposite. And unfortunately, that's not what happened in the world. There's so much fear, so much hate, and there's so much, especially there is the xenophobia, the other, that immigrants for some people are the other, and xenophobic, really. That's what I see here. And she's described it beautifully. The fear that they have to go through. The image is just brutal. The child holding in this wire with the flower. I'm here with peace. I'm not there to hurt. I just want peace with the flower bouquet in her hand, but probably bleeding from the wire. Just amazing. Fear I've seen dwell in eyes so naive of those immigrated in circumstance dire. And people come to other countries. People say, why? Oh, they want to come and take our job. They're literally because either they're social or poverty, whatever the reason. And there's room for everyone. I don't believe there's no room. I believe there's room for everyone. And I just love this conscious. She's so beautiful, like the reflection of her heart to bring this up. I just moved deeply, really. I remember, remind me of how this woman I read recently broke my heart, this Mexican woman, young girl, who trying to cross from the wall, and she fell. She was pregnant. I literally was in tears for a whole day, knowing that she's trying to save her child and herself, and here she died trying to cross the other line. It was just devastating, and people, I really make me emotional, these stories. So I really appreciate it and admire your humanity here. Beautifully done, every line and every message.
Yeah, Raz, have you commented for G?
Yes. Didn't I comment the previous time, or was that in my head?
You did.
You did.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm not hallucinating?
No, you did.
Not this time.
Not this time. It must be me this time. Okay.
Racantour didn't.
Yeah, what audio do you want?
Okay. Oh, the one I posted
he
there.
Was looking for Salwa's audio.
Audio, okay, for Salwa, okay.
Yeah, in the meanwhile, Rak, do you have a comment for Laughing Soul?
Definitely. I loved the language that she used. This is she packed a lot, so it's a brevity, so you have to use the strong language that she did. The commentary on the immigration, I think, hit me the hardest in this. The verse about the fear, and mentioning the circumstances, why they come here. It's kind of, I don't know. And the people that are unaccepting of it is just, heartbreaking, because there's no reason for it. It's like, you can argue about limited resources and everything else, but really, people are just trying to live their lives, and who the hell are we to tell them they can't do it here, there, or whatever. If they could get here and try and cut out a little swath of heaven, who's to try and stop them? And she talks about hearts wanting love and things like that, and all of that. She's touching on some very emotional things that are really beautifully said.
Agreed. Great comments. And agree. So very good comments. There's a great humanity, and it ties into Lawrence's poem at the beginning as well. Writing on the on humanity and the less fortunate. But I'm going to drop Salwa's SoundCloud first, then we'll go into Momo's poems. Someone will read that for you, and then I think Boo needs to read as well. She's quite busy. And then, so Salwa, yes, I've dropped it on the board. Boo, could you get the audio for those?
Yeah, what's it called?
I learned.
I learned. Okay, got it.
I love poems. I learned. J'ai appris. I learned to suppress my childhood tears. I left them behind. I had to leave them there. And oh, how I wish they don't linger in my memory, and never be alone with my fears. My wound seems to heal, yet this pain is real. And oh, how I wish time can erase pain and tears for real. When I cry, I wipe away my tears, then I smile. When I scream in my dreams, I fight away all the fears. I did hold on for so many years. I used to hide from my serrated fears. Would I still be bound by the life I left behind? Faces and steps haunts my night, my sleep. My prayers chase them away, one by one. My wound seems to heal, yet this pain is real. And oh, how I wish time can erase pain and tears for real. When I cry, I wipe away my tears, then I smile. When I scream in my dreams, I fight away all the fears. I held on for so many years, tried so hard to tell myself this is all gone, but though they are still with me when I'm alone so many nights, I'll keep trying so hard until one day I can say they are all gone far away forever. They are all gone far away forever. Once only as I stood and stared wildly around, did it seem that, though now awake, I could still see pale lights like eyes, but soon they flickered and vanished. J'ai appris à réprimer mes larmes d'enfance. Je les ai laissées derrière, j'ai dû les laisser là-bas. Et oh, comme j'aimerais qu'ils ne s'attardent pas dans ma mémoire, que je ne sois jamais seule avec mes peurs. Mes blessures semblent guérir, mais cette douleur est réelle. Et oh, comme je souhaite que le temps puisse effacer la douleur et les larmes pour de vrai. Quand je pleure, je suis mes larmes puis je souris. Quand je crie dans mon rêve, je combats toutes les peurs que j'ai tenues pendant tant d'années. Je me cachais de mes pleurs revenantes. Serais-je toujours lié par la vie que j'ai laissée derrière moi? Les visages et les pas hantent ma nuit, mon sommeil. Mes prières les chassent un par un. Mes blessures semblent guérir, mais cette douleur est réelle. Et oh, comme je souhaite que le temps puisse effacer la douleur et les larmes pour de vrai. Quand je pleure, je suis mes larmes, puis je souris. Quand je crie dans mon rêve, je combats toutes les peurs que j'ai tenues pendant tant d'années. J'ai tellement essayé de me dire que c'est fini. Pourtant, ils sont toujours avec moi quand je suis seule tant de nuits. Je continue d'essayer, si dur, jusqu'à qu'un jour je puisse dire ils m'ont quitté loin d'ici à jamais. Ils m'ont quitté loin d'ici à jamais. Une fois seulement, alors que je me levais et regardais follement autour de moi, sembla que bien que maintenant réveillée, je pouvais encore voir des lumières pâles comme des yeux, mais bientôt ils vacillèrent, disparurent. End of poem.
Oh wow! If the interior decorating or the pastry bakery doesn't work out, then I definitely think you should just make French poetry to violin music, because that's quite something. I was hoping there'd be some Arabic as well, because especially since all the Saharan music I've been listening to and the Berber and the Arabic, the bands that I've been listening to recently.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah,
I'll tell you why. I tell you why I'm not. Actually, I don't know if you know Sam. She tells me my Arabic is horrible. So I'm embarrassed. I make a lot of mistakes.
It's better than all of ours, so there's that.
So my French is better than my Arabic, unfortunately.
Right, it's still better than all of ours. We learn from it. So.
She always come tell me, do this, change that, edit this. So I'm kind of afraid. That's why. But I love Arabic. I will try. I'm gonna, even if there are mistakes, who cares? I will try to do I
yeah,
know it, but that's the reason.
It's better than all of ours.
That's the reason.
All of us,
that's the reason.
We try and write in one language and we barely get that right. You know, you do 3 usually for us, sometimes 4. Yeah, again, there's so many things to this. So, and as I've previously said to one of your poems, that even when there is a maybe a sad undertone or something that's maybe of a depressing nature, it's wrapped in this warmth and this comfort that you give. And in this, there's the layers relating to childhood trauma and manifestations and ramifications thereof, dreams, insomnia, PTSD, and all these different inflictions. But then you offer the alternative. So it's not just something that's problematic or something that's just depressing. You give us a spiritual element of healing, and then the confronting and acknowledging the pain and the trauma, and that once we do that we develop as people, and then we can get past it, as you say, the things that we've held on to for so many years, that we can develop and exonerate those things. So I think it's great in that aspect, that it's not just one-dimensional of being a poem, which maybe so many times I'm guilty of writing things that are just negative and moaning. But it gives us these solutions as well, of meditation and spiritual healing. So I think it's fantastic, and you always offer that warmth and that comforting. Rack, do you have a comment for Solwa?
Oh, absolutely. This is like all of your writing. It's absolutely stunning. The title I learned lets you use the platform to tell us. As Rob put it, he mentioned whining. You're not whining, but by saying that you learned, and then going into detail, the things that you've learned, you clearly illustrate that, the things that pain teaches us, and the lesson that, it sounds like a simple concept, dealing with something like this, kind of acknowledging it, but, you have to be able to take its power away from you. You talk about there was a verse where you talk about being alone. They're still there, but you're still alone. It's like they don't have that power over you anymore. You kind of overcome them, and that's the hope in a lot of the way that you write that shines through more than anything, because whatever you've gone through, you still have this way of mentioning your faith, or mentioning something that inspires you to think that there's got to be more to it than just this. And I'm even more guilty than you, Rob, of lamenting about how horrible things are. But I kind of do it with the understanding that once I bitch about it, I'm done with it. I don't have to look at it again or feel it anymore. So I'm happy with it. But Salwa, you do it in a much more positive way, and again, in such beautiful language, well written.
Oh, thank you, my friend.
Exactly. I think Rack, it's a sense of almost addressing the things and calling them out, rather than just like leaving the baggage out there and then saying, well, someone else deal with that, there we go, I've left it, I've written it on the page, and I'm done with it. So, but this offers more. It gives you part 2 as well, the sequel, a solution. Raz, do you have a comment for Solwa, please?
Yes, my interpretation would be a monologue. What there are the sentiments I see conveyed here. It's just someone who just can't anymore go on pretending that there was not that original psychological trauma. They did not proceed to go on suffering from depression without receiving any form of solace from society, and that just makes the world seem all that more cold by the time you're facing these emotions again, that you've reached no form of spiritual, emotional, or physical fulfillment and are still very much alone.
Thanks, Raz. Excellent comment. Boo, are you there to give a comment for us?
Can I say something quickly to Raz?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I respond? I mean, it's weird. I know that I'm really having no depression in spite of this, but there is pain. But thank goodness, no depression. I don't know how in the world, but I don't have this. Or I know it sounds. I'm hiding now with my laugh, but no, I don't know. But I just let you know. I had to say that. But thank you, Raj. I understand that should be feeling depression, but no.
Yeah, well said, Boo.
Oh no, I wasn't trying to condescend you, Sala. It's just
no.
All that crying with the poem. So I associated some form of symptom like depression.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying you can defend me. That's normal that you said, but I'm just saying that I don't have it. That's all. Doesn't mean you. No condescending. I know you're not, Raj. I would never think that anyway. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Boo?
This is really strong, and I know you've been through a lot of shit, especially in your childhood, and if anybody can do it, you can. I learned to suppress my childhood tears and left them behind. I had to leave them there. That's what you have to do. If you hold on to them, you're just going to drown and melt. And you're just gonna... And then, the people who hurt you, they win. And I refuse to let those fuckers win. And so I hope you do too. I know you love your clouds. I see your picture there. Beautiful. And I know you're very spiritual, which I also admire. My prayer is chasing away one by one my wounds seem to heal. The pain is real. Yeah, that's something that you never forget. But you are an example, and you are an inspiration to a lot of people's childhood. You're a lot stronger than you think you are. A wonderful friend and a great person, and a lovely poem.
Thank you. Cool. Love you too.
Thank you, Boo. All right, I'll read for Momo, I believe, or Roy KBMW, and then we're gonna do Tila, if that's okay, if no one's in a rush.
Is Momo has audio?
No, I'll read for her. Okay.
Alrighty.
All right, so I'll just drop that on the board again. And this is by Momo. It's called Even Evil Ever Eats. Even evil ever eats. Amid apocalypse, torn tooth torture treats. Rancid rain, rust roots, over, out, over, off, yawn, your years, yeast. Pledge praises, profile profits, lure light, lock lumps, erode ethics, excite evil, airs abrupt, acid abuse, seal, stitch, sweat, skins, end, endorse, encounter, ease. Garnish grief, garlands groom, order, ordeal overseas, destroy devil's dark dorm. End of poem. Right. Boo, do you have a comment?
I think when you call on her first, you'll find that she's never there.
Yeah. So into the abyss and into the void, it comes back to me. Thanks, Momo, for sharing with us. And again, using that prompt, a lot of creativity there. Definitely a bit of alliteration that I noticed going on over here. Quite unique in that, and yeah, much to contemplate. Yeah, quite an interesting poem. I'll leave a comment for you once I read it again. And Salwa, your thoughts on Momo?
I agree with you. You said great read and great poem that you have to contemplate again. Her writing for her age. I don't think writing has her age really. Some people start prodigy. She's a prodigy writer. Even evil ever eats. I mean the wording itself. It's so true when you leave something, like anything grow, and evil, I think it's even worse than goodness because it spreads so fast when you let it spread. And I think that's what she's trying to say. When you leave and it'll eat you, will torture you, will destroy devil dark dome. It really does. Like a rusted rain, rust roof. I'm trying to understand it. I'm really reading right now, and I'm not really good with surrealism picture, but that's what I see. Even prophets themselves had to go through so much pain and so much evil from people to accept them. I think that's maybe what she's trying to say here by the pledge of the prophets. And there is the ordeal overseas. I'm not sure about what she means by overseas, but in general, I think this last stanza kind of lost. But I feel like the really description of evil, how can eat so fast and destroy things so fast if we don't control it. It's absolutely deep, and it's so true. Because each one of us, I think we talked about this before with Big Verge, everyone has I don't agree completely 100% because you can work on yourself and make it dormant. I'm not saying I'm a saint or anything, but I'm awareness. We talked about this with a lot of friends, that if you work on yourself, you can push away this evil in you and the goodness take over. Everyone can do that. So I think this is really very, especially now in our time, there's so much happening. There's so much hate. I don't know if it's only our time. When I see stuff, history, it's always happened, but now the media make it more present, I think. Probably. That's why we see it more present. But I think always human nature, history existed, even will always exist. We can get rid of it. Amazing write and amazing read.
I agree. Thanks, Salwa. Very good comments. Rak, do you have a comment to add for Momo? I believe Boo's in a bit of a rush, and then she's just going to drop hers. Sorry, Rak, your comments?
Yeah, no, that's fine. The alliteration in this made it a little difficult to read, and probably made it a little more abstract than it could have been. But I appreciate her going with it and sticking to the form. To make it one big piece like that. The message that I'm seeing here, that there's a lot about evil and destruction and yearning but the overall, I don't know what she's commenting on. It feels something like I don't know, social commentary on war. I don't know. I mean, even the last line is confusing to me because I'm looking at the destroys devil's dark dorm. I mean that's the devil's dwelling, so that something's destroying hell, which is a positive thing, which is the exact opposite of most of the language that I'm getting. So I'm real confused with this one. So yeah, it's kind of hard for me to comment on it. I'm not understanding it very well.
Yeah, if you could maybe say something about that on the board, Momo, then that will be cool for all of us, and we'll have it read out on the radio to maybe elaborate on your vision of this poem. Raj, was there anything maybe that you spotted, because you've got some sort of, you got eagle eyes?
Yeah, I was commenting on this before, but it wasn't the right piece at the time. And like I was saying, I see heavy amounts of religion here, someone who's grown dissatisfied not only at the church, but the world, and how it considers deeper roots like Scripture, to the point of which what they're facing is some kind of nightmare that none of us, the majority, know how to even believe in God, and it reminds them of this evil of which they speak on a subconscious level, kind of trying to destroy the very fundamentals of why there's knowledge in order to build society.
Yeah, exactly why I said that you'd see things that we've missed. So what Momo's added on the board, it's a request to God from her side to eat her because she is an evil. So there's some depth and something in that.
It could also be thought like that.
Yeah.
Maybe because she said she was evil?
Myself.
As Rack said, the commitment to the form throughout was, some sort of commitment. And on that note, I'm going to add a poem by Boo called Holier Than Thou. All right, Boo.
How appropriate.
You're up.
Yeah, how appropriate. That's funny. I'll
that is
comment,
funny.
Momo. I'm yours after.
Yeah, we know you're in a bit of a rush.
This is
there we go.
A song, but yeah, I'm not going to be in a rush. I just wanted to get over with in case. So I'm not going to leave. I'm going to say, but of course, obviously, you're doing a great job, Rob. Sorry, but I can't multitask. Okay, so it goes like this. Lord, I need some divine redemption. I feel like a heathen through the night. Depart from solemn words of wisdom. Please deliver your blessed sacred right. Ignorant, spiteful, closed-minded, and afraid. Morals we built our life the same, and hate betrayed. Wholly self-righteous and completely hypocritical. Sanctimonious, bullies, bigoted, and parasitical. Saving grace, your wrath is so sweet. I am consumed by its salvation. We all bleed the same color. Save us all from eternal damnation. Foreigners on our land, truth gave us fight. But for him it seems equality is not given a right. Ridiculed, scorned, filthy sinner, heathen. Who, if not the other, can we believe in? I make a covenant with this day forth. Our filthy lifestyle will have us burned. Kill them with your righteous deeds. I skipped the line there. Respect is given, it's earned. It's supposed to say. Eyes darkened as they're tinted with hate. Your ears too still to listen to debate. You surge civil rights that have been denied. Who will be the prejudiced fool that history leaves behind? Command me down on my knees. I'm praying with my mouth to please. I offer myself as your possession to use whenever at your discretion. And boom. And I forgot a whole line. Oh my God.
Okay.
You must have snorted it.
Happens, Boo.
Jesus.
There we go. That's what
I get for rushing.
That live poetry coming to you right from all of us.
Fucking shit.
Yeah.
How embarrassing.
So the link is on the board if anyone wants to read it. Those listening in, it's on all poetry, the Cosa Nostra. If you want to get in there. Yeah, just to read some stats. I actually, before the show, so this is the first time I've seen the poem, but going on with the gender-based violence theme. So some statistics in South Africa, and this is just, sorry to put it that way, it's very extreme. Every 3 hours, a woman is murdered in South Africa. This is from a newspaper I have next to me that I was reading before the show. 40% the likelihood a woman in South Africa will be raped at least once in her life. 114 rapes on average were recorded by police every day between 2019 and 2020. and then there's some more that I won't get too much into. But so it's really something that, you know, that we don't really even understand. And as I said on a show quite recently, if you think that these statistics are the whole of it, then you're very, very mistaken, because you know that a lot of what happens in these places is that it's so skewed, because a lot of people, they feel that law enforcement will fail them, so they don't even report this, or they think that the reactions to them reporting things are going to put them in more danger. So I think that, you know, writing about these things, it takes a lot of courage, and it's really, really that we need voices on these things. That someone speaking from a country in Africa, you know, imagine that, here I am. But that these things are really, I mean, imagine, you know, that those sort of statistics. Well, it's, sorry about that. Yeah, well, that's the time, yeah, 5 a.m.
Hey, I
yeah,
fixed it so you could refresh, because that was just terrible.
Right too. And in your style, the rhyme throughout carries, and it's, you know, it has that sort of almost hypnotic nature to it, that it sinks you deeper into the ethos and the gravitas of what you're trying to say. Salwa, your comment, please, for Boo.
This is a very moving and touching topic. Touch deep. It is sad that men they use it sometimes in war. They use it not in war. I mean, women, children. It's just a horrible thing that someone never hope anyone has to experience. It just mark you forever, and it really moved me right now. I'm sorry, I get my emotional here. So I'm gonna comment later. I'm so sorry. Sorry, but it's great for women. Very, very. We need to voice it. Absolutely.
It's by the Times newspaper, these statistics, and it's from saferspace.org.za, which is for South Africa. So that's where those statistics are from. Raz, your comment for Boo, please.
Yeah, at that kind of rate, that rape has become acceptable in any nation, not just South Africa, but places like India, Pakistan. Then, of course, you have a crucial problem on how you're treating women, and its own kind of epidemic with criminal violence, of which we can only hope some form of improvement can come to pass, because these are not sex slaves; they are other human beings.
Yeah, it was so bad that, you know, some of the debates around ending lockdown, imagine that, for the pandemic, was around the fact that gender-based violence became so bad that they were putting that into the equation. You know, should we end lockdown because of gender-based violence? You know, it's like, okay, well, we got people dying of one thing, but we've got them dying of this other thing. So juggling these two things, which it should never come down to, really. Rak, do you have a comment for Boo, please?
Yeah. First, I wanted to say I appreciate that you mentioned specifically about South Africa, because you're in the middle of it. You know, and logically, it happens all over the world, but you're able to quote statistics and things that are surrounding you and you know, to your immediate left and right. So I appreciate that you talk about it like that, because, you know, it carries a little more weight because you've seen it, you're there, you've experienced it. So, you know, don't apologize for using statistics from something that you're kind of in the middle of. And as for Boo's poem, I mean, she did a great job. I like how you made it a plea to the Lord, you know, and you kind of rattled on, you know, what you hope for, you know, the way that you think it should be and everything else, in a very poetic way. The rhyme was great. You know, you left out a line, and I almost want to ask you if there's a typo in the beginning, because you say I pee, and I think you mean to feel.
So I'm embarrassed to tell for the whole thing. Shit.
Well, no. It's understandable, but you know, it was a beautiful poem, Boo. You know, that's just technical stuff. You read it, and you read it beautifully, and you conveyed the emotion wonderfully, and you touched on something that is very emotional, and you did a great job with this.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I agree, Boo. I mean, you know, you have missing patients at the same time, you answering the phones, you playing the audios, so, you know, missing a lot. You know, all of that, it's understandable. Yeah, I'm sorry, it's just very, you know, it's overwhelming, because if you look at all four of those countries, Salwa just dropped something on the board, the statistics, and these are all Southern African countries. These are countries that are in, you know, they all are connected to South Africa. So it just shows you the normality of what these things are. I wrote a piece recently where, you know, someone that was a homosexual man was just murdered and burnt and buried in a shallow grave. You know, imagine that. The killer was wearing his cap the day that they arrested him. You know, that it's that sort of love they share, it's that sort of carelessness, and it rocks me to the core, because it's like, you know, one being someone that's quite one, you know, what they would always say is, you know, you 1 foot in the West, 1 foot in Africa, but it's like you brought up in different sorts of realities of, okay, this is right and this is what the reality is. And, you know, that sort of nature of the killer wearing his cap when he got arrested, the man that he murdered, and yeah, it's just unreal. Right. Luke, are you able to play an audio for us?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna put Verge's poem on the board. If you could play that for us, thanks.
Verge. So, thanks for the comments, everyone.
All right, dude. Ready?
Is it run through my mind?
Yes.
Yeah?
Quick question, ladies and gentlemen. Do you ever find that words sometimes keep on running through your mind? Sometimes my rhymes and words are stunning. These days I find my word designs refine and dine, just like fine wine. So here's a few to give you clues as to some of the ways my wordplay moves. Wordplay just ridiculous. Volume straight up infinite. Inception is synonymous with Big Verge the eponymous. Conception not inglorious. Bastard, no, erroneous. My use of verse is glorious. In fact, it's meritorious because it's tight, not porous. Chorus? No, because it flows and has no place on talent shows. Talent? Whoa, you better know what I construct may one day blow a hole in all these shows for hoes. Prostitution? No. not how I roll. Talking of those, no time for coke or yes cocaine, because my nose does not house notes where air should flow. Flows I got those, quite the rock boats, racist places, so many faces, sometimes my mind defines in faces. I'm just playing and relaying words of verse from the thoughts of big verse. My head, it hurts just like my arm, because I write like those who fight and wear the arms of those who choose to, yes, bear arms. Violent? No. Two verges? Calm. I'd rather charm, so please be smart before my words get in your club or your raffle. Am I Bajan? No, but here's the quote: I'm English born, so know of their storm, but I'm now reborn with Caribbean views just down the road from my new bedroom on Bajan shores. Not cold, but warm. I'm happier now that I have found a place for myself on my parents' grounds. Africa? Next, well, more or less. So much of this world I haven't seen yet. Girls, that's where this poem ends. So many look fine, but I just can't find one who's down to fool around. A man Big Verge, the connoisseur of spoken words. I guess that's why I write these rhymes and put in verse words that traverse, that I now find. Run through my mind. Run through my mind. Run through my mind. Run through my mind.
That's badass.
Yeah, that's the first time I heard it with a backtrack to it as well.
Yeah, that was good.
One thing I must say, in the second stanza or second bit, yes, your rhymes and your words are stunning, Verge. Thanks for rubbing it in, mate. But yeah, we all agree with that. Yeah, as I previously said, the and which ties into the prompt, and again to tie it into an idea and the theme for tonight, relating to art and the various mediums of art, is that there's a timelessness to your writing that, whether it be about things that are PSAs, sort of social commentary or whatever it is, there's always a timelessness to it, regardless of whether it was written 6 years ago or written yesterday. There's always something about your writing which makes it very relevant, that it stands timeless. The aspects of this, I hadn't listened to the SoundCloud before, so one of the things I was thinking about when I thought about commenting on the poem was the various forms of media that it extends to. There's a visual aspect of your poetry that's quite unique as well. The way that you write is very unique. The way that it's structured, the way that it's laid out, and the way that it's formed in terms of a layout. And that's almost a visual aspect of it. And then there's the musical aspect of it, which is obviously now even more relevant when you add the music to it. And then obviously the literary relevance, which is just the words that you use and the effectiveness and the rhyme and the meter thereof, all tied together. And one of the things I read recently, it was 2 days ago, I think, probably one of my favorite albums of all time is the Stone Roses eponymous album. In 1989 it was released. Well, I wasn't born yet, but it's still one of probably my top 3 favorite albums. And Ian Brown, who wrote the album, commented 2 days ago, which was the anniversary. He was saying that it's comments that are still relevant today. It's things about struggles with governments, with higher powers, with the 1%, and relating to all of that, a sort of punk attitude, which punk and rap are very similar in those aspects of the anti-authority stances, and I think that your work carries that quite well. Boo, your comment, please.
Well, you always can tell Verge's poems. It's not the way it's structured, but the way that it's straight up. And I love his accent. And, remember when I told you before, Well, I was trying to think of the cartoon character that he reminded me. Remember Rack? And, Rack, I think you told me it was, right? I don't mean this in a rude way at all. I don't know if you guys ever seen, I think his name was Snaggletooth, right? Rack?
Yeah. Yep.
And, oh, my God, just that character, how he reminds me of him, the suave way, the way he talks and everything. I hope he doesn't kill me for saying that. But this is, I think, one of his best. And I say that about every poem that I read of his. I like the track in the back. I thought that was awesome. And it wasn't too loud. It didn't drown them out. So wordplay, just ridiculous. Volume, straight up, instant and synonyms, big verge. I miss this so cool, the rhyme. You always know it's his with all the exclamation points and the dots. And flows, I got those quotes like rock boats, races, places, three faces, sometimes device, innate, invasive. I just think the rhyme is incredible. And his poems are very long, but it never feels long. You actually always want more. Entertaining, fun. I don't know why he's not a superstar, but he should be. A connoisseur of spoken words, I agree. Oliver.
Yeah, for me, it's almost like this sort of cross between, like a Skepta thing, if you know, like English rap, Skepta, and Notorious B.I.G., like a cross between them two. Right, Raz, do you have a comment for Verge? I see he's on the board. Hey, Verge. Call in, mate.
Hi, Verge.
Wait.
Yeah, call in.
Yeah. I think
Becky
this shows exceptional feverish skills, and he does it creatively when it comes to rapping. This is one of those more old school styles that you didn't need a profanity to be controversial. You didn't need any form of gang or street violence in order to have that rap. And so he's, a real cool feeling when you listen to him get to it with the mic, how it used to go down. All you had was the bass.
Yeah, agreed. It's saying more like from saying more of an intelligence than just the kind of controversial, saying, well, okay, this is going to cause a stir. So saying that relates to deeper thoughts of consciousness and thoughts. Rack, what did you think, mate?
So I'm enjoying getting to know Verge and his writing. I call this taking a stream of consciousness quite literally, running through his mind, and his observations and point of view, like you say, he does it in a unique way. And he could take a poem that someone will look at and say, oh, that's too long, and read it in under 3 minutes because the way he raps. And his voice is, I wouldn't compare it to Snaggletooth, but he's got a beautiful baritone. He's got a beautiful baritone. He does. There's no denying it. I've got a definite man crush on that voice. I just when he starts talking, I get jealous. People tell me they like my voice, they like the way I speak, but there's something about the way he reads in that voice and it's the observational tone that he takes. Almost like a professor, okay, get ready, I'm going to school you, but without saying it, without shoving it down your throat. Just this is how it is, and what was the name on the Verge? Is where they're calling it on Saturday. He has a way of picking topics and inciting conversation. That I think the more you listen, the more you'll see. He just has a way about him that he doesn't care about controversy. He's just like this is what I see. This is how it is. And there's a lot of people I think that really appreciate something like that, myself included. So well done, Verge.
Can I comment?
Yeah. Yes, please, Salwa.
Okay, this has made me smile for so many reasons. I agree with all of you. You give the most beautiful comments, really do, all of you. And I see something that got my attention and made me smile. Look at the line where he said, there's two things. Where is it? Girls, that's where this poem ends. It's just he wrote it to the girls. It made me smile. That's one. Hilarious. That's really hilarious. Then I agree with you how he writes about what's going in his mind and what he put it in writing. Absolutely. And I like what he says here. Word plays ridiculously, volume straight up and finished. I had to think when he was reading and the volume was high and it's still so clear and so going through. If it was me, I would have disappeared. You would not heard my voice. But because he have a way to pronounce his word and play with the wording, it just makes it even more empowering. And I think it's ironic because I think he did it on purpose. He played maybe, I'm not sure, I would love to know. I think he played it loud on purpose to say I can go through because he said it here. The word play is just ridiculous. Volume straight up and said I think this is hilarious. And only him can do that. He always makes me smile on because the way he presents his ideas and how we make it stick in our head with the different only his way. So it's just fabulous.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm just reading Virgil's stuff on the board. Well, there's a few guys that are really fucking crushing it on in different mediums. And one of them is KSI. And there's a lot of things of KSI that remind me of Verge and those sort of people. And then again, a lot of people that I played football with a few years ago. The sort of Niger guys from London. That have the whole, not the roadman thing, but something like that. It's unique, and it's something that I'm very, very accustomed to because of playing football with them lads. But we get it, and Verge, we do like it a lot, and we all appreciate it. Right.
Now, when you say football, you mean the English football or the American football?
Yeah. Sorry, I should elaborate because, this is soccer.
Soccer.
You're football. I wouldn't begrudge you that. I'm just saying,
Yeah, I'd get smashed.
With Rob.
I'll get broken in half probably, like.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you're right more often to call it football than soccer anyway, because only in our little corner of the world is it soccer. So, go with the odds.
Yeah, soccer.
Well, it was actually first written in England, soccer though, because it was like the football association. So they used that. I see Salwa saying goodbye and good night. So let's say goodbye to Salwa.
Goodbye.
And then I'm going to drop next, unless anyone has any objections. Tila on the board. Boo, could you read that one for us?
Yeah.
Just came to eat my popcorn.
Oh, all right. I thought you were talking about you. All right. Just came to eat my popcorn from Tila. Oh, I love Billy Joel. Our eyes locked for a second. Felt shy. I stood in a queue of popcorn vendor. Looked behind. He was right behind me. Our eyes met. He smiled at me. I felt shy. Heard a voice next, please. I bought popcorn and was heading towards the arena when two hands showed their hands to me. I looked at him and laughed. Gave him handful of popcorn. Headed to arena together, he disappeared in dark. I went to my seat, who was a stranger, just came to eat popcorn, came into my life just for a second, showed me so much. Love, his smile, he spoke to me so much. It was like for years he would stay with me forever and home. Created by Stephen.
Yeah, well read, Boo. Thanks for that. Thanks for dropping that, Tila. We appreciate that. And it ties in well because it's something inspired by one of the art mediums in this circumstance or in this particular instance. It's by Billy Joel's The Stranger. I thought it was quite a cute little write. Relatable in some aspects. Our eyes met, he smiled at me. We all have that sort of little love story, either it being real or just something that our minds create and have this fantasy of. We all want to fall in love and think about falling in love all the time. But quite a cutesy little write. Thanks, Tila. Rack, do you have a comment for her?
Oh, I have to be a little cheeky and say, if you shared popcorn with them and it's still with you, you need to go to a dentist. You probably got a kernel stuck in your tooth. No, it was a beautifully told story. All sarcasm aside, you think of popcorn and something stuck with you. In my mind, that's kind of what I think of. When you go to the dentist and they can't, they find all those leftover kernels and things because you can't get them out of your teeth sometimes. But you tell a nice story about just an innocent little meeting by chance and the smile and falling in love. Very well told and very very cute. It was endearing.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. I think Raz and Salwa have left us. Boo, you got to read it.
I love that album too. How can you not love that album? Such a great album, and the picture is trippy too. I remember looking at that picture when I was little and just freaking out on the picture. But I mean, this is, to me, speaks of somebody that you meet that, even though it's briefly you met and you connected and you never forgot for the rest of your life, someone you touched, but you don't know why or where. And I guess in this situation with popcorn, that works. And we all have those little moments when you wonder, like, I wonder where they are. And you're always looking for them, and you want to meet them again or whatever, but you don't. And he looks so young in that picture. It's just picture of me. Yeah, I love Billy Joel. Oh my God. So I could talk about him for days, but I won't. But great poem, Tina. And it says it was contest by Steven. Oh, I thought it said created by Steven. I was tripping. Sorry. Oh, she put the video. What video she got down there? Oh, the stranger. I like that. Good job, Tina.
All right, we've got 4 left. So, those. I'll read the next one, and then we've got 3 audios between Budo, Gerald, and Phil. But the next one is by A Comet's Tale, and this one's based on the artwork, Portrait of an Unknown Lady. Yes, Boo?
I was going to say, it's up to you guys, but it's 8:30 if you wanted to carry them over or you want to finish, up to you. We'll think about it. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I'll read this one for A Comet's Tale. Portrait of an Unknown Lady. On a hard wooden stool she sat, motionless with each breath she took, pale-skinned ring hand lying flat, on right hand holding a closed book. Sun streams through the open window, her eyes squint in the beams of light, black dress with lace to each elbow, on her thin frame, one size too tight. Behind the canvas, her patron peeks at her before brushing paint. She stifles an impending yawn, fears she'll fall into a dead faint. Day to day she sits in silence, an artist's foil, still life portraits, dull boredom bereft of suspense, her aching backbone stiff and straight. Models sitting in quiet space, an artist with painting complete, a portrait body with no face, painting of artistic conceit. End poem. Yeah, this is essentially the essence of a ekphrosis, sort of style of literature, in a sense of capturing a artwork through writing. The thing that I like about these ones, and that I've liked about the poems based on this artwork, and yeah, Boo, really well done on choosing this one. What I like about this is that a lot of them, they mention things about what's not captured in that frame. They mention things about her face. They mention things about things that are almost subliminal. The book, the ring, all these things, and they go into such details, and they make it their own. They really make it something individual and something unique. The rhyme is clever. It works really well. Yep. And yeah, I thought it was a well-written piece. Boo, do you have a comment or a comment to tell?
Yeah, that was a great read, first of all. Really good. Yeah, this is I agree with what you said. Like, I was going to use that picture too. That I was thinking the same thing, all the things that you would say. And I'm so sorry that you couldn't get through, because he tried to get through and he wanted to read, but he had to go to bed. So I told him to come tomorrow at noon, and he could read it on our house if he wants to call back. Reminded him that. Yeah, but it's just the beginning on a whole wooden store. She sat motionless with each breath. She took tail skin ring, hand holding you. To just get this feeling of this anger and just this hiss, and then her eyes are squinting. She's got the black dress, and she stifles an impending yawn. She's so fucking over it. She's just bored. And so poor. She's just with something more in life. Like, she's so over it. Maybe she's thinking of, maybe committing herself. Killing herself because she's so bored. That's how I see it. And I love the word artistic conceit. That's just a great ending, and makes you think. Really good job. Really great on that. Unique and original. And goes to show you, boredom, idle hand can be a devil's workshop, because I'm the same way. So, great job. Feel free to read it tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. I'll drop all three of these, in fact, on the board for tomorrow. And we can actually just then finish off on Buddha's song. I mean, we can start with it again tomorrow, if that's okay with Jay. It's his show tomorrow. Okay. But I'll put Gerald's on the board for tomorrow. But yeah, Rack, your comments, please, for a comment scale.
We could put Buds, because Buds might be there tomorrow in the daytime, but I'm not sure.
Like Rob's saying, you could play it both. You could play it now and then again tomorrow, but that's up to you guys.
Yeah.
But to comment on the poem and kind of run over on you for a second, so I could get this thought out of my head. I was at first I was thinking she was this person was going to just give kind of a observation on what they saw in the painting, but they really went in depth on what they saw in the painting. They gave me, like you mentioned, what wasn't pictured. They went and told their own story. The mind's incredible in that sense, if you're looking at something and there's something missing, the eye has a way of filling it in. I experience that a lot because my vision is very screwed up, and there are times when I can see half a word and it looks like a different word to me because of the recognition, and my mind wants to fill it in, especially being liking poetry and writing and things like that. My mind goes to what I wanted to say or how I would have written it. So again, that's mostly the reason why you guys don't hear me reading anyone else's poetry is because my brain just can't handle trying to read anymore. Unfortunately, it wants to fill in the blanks differently and change things, and I miss letters and whole entire intent of on the turn of a phrase can change on one single word. So you all are familiar with that, but I really appreciated the way that the blanks that she filled in. It sounded like she was just going to tell you, oh, it's a painting, it's this, it's that, but then she went into detail and told a story behind it. And then I'm saying, I don't know. I'm sorry, Comet, if you're a man. I don't know. But I appreciated the writing. Yeah. I did the PC. Oh, the speaker, the poet. Anyway, I really appreciated that technique that you used to bring those details in. It was very, very clever and a beautiful way to tell a story. Very well done.
All right, I'm going to ask Boo if you can play Full. He has because he also wrote to the same picture.
Okay, Phil. Okay.
And then Full is.
Got it. Delicate Hands.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is a poem by Phil the Poet called Delicate Hands. Delicate hands guarding the pathway to virginity, slender long fingers tapping in time with vitality, anemic veinless digits tells the story of her ladyship, the sorrowful taste of a bittersweet relationship, sitting with a faraway look in her eyes, distracted by tears, hiding her face behind ebony locks of hateful years, the sunlight capturing the shape of a saddened face, while one hand holds the other in a solemn embrace. And I wonder, how can I paint my lady's portrait, letting her fall into this embarrassing gauntlet? I stare at her long, ghostly, white, tender fingers. How beautifully sad, how my thoughts linger. Today, I will save her blushes from the world. My heart softens for this poor, melancholic girl, who sits obedient before my canvas, hands on lap, eagerly waiting for a chance to escape from this trap. And still my gaze is drawn to those gentle hands, delicate, tender, being kissed by princes in foreign lands. With brush in hand, I start to scratch the outline, forming the shape of a hand, trying to make it look sublime. Portrait finished, she comes and takes a look, stares lovingly into my eyes, reading me like a book. She takes my hand in hers and whispers in my ear, "Thank you for not capturing my lamentable fear." End poem.
Oh, damn, that's good. We'll go, Phil.
Yeah, wow. Again, and this is why I wanted them to follow each other. The the way that he paints the full portrait of this lady, besides what's visible in the actual picture, he takes it further. He makes it his own version, his own vision. He describes face, eyes, the anemic nature. Some of these, the anemic veinless digits tell the story of her ladyship. It's just fantastic, fantastic writing. The rhyme throughout, again, is fantastic. I love his reading. Really well done. And it always sounds better in the writer's voice. He really, he captured this artwork in a way that it wasn't only the artwork, it was Phil the poet's version of the artwork. And that's what I wanted to create with this sort of prompt and this sort of theme for today's show, is to make it something that I write a lot on art, because whenever I have trouble thinking of something to write about, I go and look at art, and I look at pictures, and I look at things, and maybe a video or a film, and it just inspires so many thoughts that aren't exactly a carbon copy, but they're my version of, and it's not imitation, but it's just a morph of that, what has previously existed. So thanks, Phil. That was fantastic. Boo, do you have a comment for Phil?
Yeah, I think this is one of his best poems, and he's a poet, hence the name. But just at first, delicate hands guiding the pathway to her virginity. Like, whoa, anemic, veinless digits. So a story of her ladyship. Like, I don't know what a ladyship is, but I'd like to know. And then it's so
it's a station like being knighted, is it not?
What is it?
It's like being knighted, if I'm not mistaken. It's the equivalent of being knighted.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I was way off then. Okay.
Yeah.
And then like he's like wanting her and feeling for her, but he knows that I guess he won't have her delicate, tender, been kissed by princes of foreign lands. So maybe he feels that he can never compete actually with the men that she's been with. And in the end, it's just thank you for not capturing my lamentable fear. Beautiful, Phil. I'm going to nominate this one. Really, really good.
Yeah, thanks, Boo. Exactly. Really one of my favorite poems from tonight as well. A great write, a great read. Well done, Phil. Rack?
Yeah, you know what's cool in my head, too? I'm thinking these poems are like if the pictures, the paintings were on, a show, and they're describing the paintings, for the artist, that they would find it interesting because both poets kind of focused on the hands as being where their eyes were drawn when they looked at that painting. For me, I thought it was great for a lot of different reasons. It made me think of a funny story. I don't remember who it was, and it was an artist that was being interviewed. He does illustrations like cartoons and whatnot for a living, and he was commenting on his own work, explaining that I don't draw, and it might have been noses or something like that, because I can't. So it's almost like, the guy can't draw faces, so he intentionally left it out, that thought in my head is like, a simple explanation for something, and everyone's coming up with these elaborate, he didn't want to capture her fear, or, for whatever reason, she was too beautiful to capture. You could come up with all kinds of excuses, but it might just be something as simple as the artist just can't draw faces. But he made me think of that thought, as well as his story about the painting itself and the woman in the painting and bringing her to life like he did. So this was an amazing poem, Phil. Thank you.
Yeah, he did bring me to life, and his accent's so cute.
And actually on the flip side, something that I always think about when people say, okay, well, it's a cop-out because it's something that's abstract. Is Picasso is saying that if you look at the paintings that this man was drawing when he was 12 years old, when he was a kid, when he was a boy, and you see the realism and the technique that he displays, the technical ability, and then you see, okay, well, so he invented Cubism not as a cop-out, not because he wanted to say, okay, well, I can't draw noses, not that you're... I mean, when it comes to my paintings, Rack, that's pretty appropriate because I struggle with eyes in particular. So always when it comes to eyes, I tend to, sometimes I draw planets. I do like Jupiter eyes quite often in some of my paintings. And people are like, oh, wow, this is so profound. It's so abstract. But it's not. It's just because I struggle with the eyes. But when it comes to things like that, it's just because it captures so many different levels. But that's the thing I love about these poems, is because it's like you just see the hands, and then to capture the whole form of something from that is just always fantastic for me. Right, so we have two more for this evening. We can end on Butter last because obviously we all want to end on a song and a dance maybe. But we have Gerald, Boo, do you have the audio for that? Do you have the clip?
Yeah. I thought we were carrying them over, but okay.
Hope so.
Okay.
Live.
Yeah. Right.
Fault, written in red by Gerald Green. It was my fault. Or was it then? Death was in oncoming clouds, thickness in the sky, penetrating, obfuscating, darkness on the march. The charms long withered, bend in desiccating wind, no longer emanating sweetness, now a relic, a fading memory, encased in bitterness. Her smile, once enchanting, purses with anxiety, hesitates, and then refuses to reveal the emptiness, neglects reward. It was my fault. Or was it then? What in her youth was vibrant, in middle years lies dormant, waiting for an unknown object, coasting down a steady course. No growth of any kind encouraged or desired, while sluggishness gains foothold, mesmerizing, further still, what ceased to function years ago. It was my fault, or was it then? Her self-destruction killed the spark, exhausting smoke and noxious fumes, delivering a sickness, suffocating all within its reach. I gave her notice. Then I left. Before neglect swept over me, my growth required a bold decision, made me leave her where she was. It was my fault. Or was it then? End poem.
Damn. Of course it was your fault. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Well,
you're the man. It was your fault. No,
who has an answer for you, Gerald? There we go. Yeah, I actually took the other side of that. Maybe because I am the man in the situation.
Yes.
You know, well, I identify as he, him. So there we go. We have to lay these things out these days. Well, yeah. So what I thought is the vocabulary and the language mastery is admirable. You know, without coming across as pretentious or try hard. You know, an example of that would be the sorts of $10 words that people throw about without knowing the exact meaning, but you know, maybe just using the sort of you know, kind of synonym cop-outs and that. Yeah, the repetition used was, I think, a very well-executed vice over here. It leaves the reader juggling the question, and yet it's a subtle persuasion tactic, I felt, leaving me to actually favor his side, although the resounding answer after the poem tended to disagree with my opinion. So, yeah, Boo, you have something to say, don't you?
Oh, cool. You know I do.
Yeah.
No, I was just kidding, actually. But I like the way that he reads because it's always like matter of fact, and like you said, he's not being an asshole. He's not pretentious. He's like,
yeah, I agree.
You know, he could just be like a dick about it, but he's not. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I was going to do some questions. So in all of his poetry, life is just like straight up and matter of fact kind of. I've been trying to get him to call forever. I'm working on it, but just keep stalking until they give in, and you know. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't really think he's saying like whose fault. Maybe it is, but just that he screwed up and he regrets it. Her smile, once enchanting, purses with anxiety, hesitation, and refuses to reveal the emptiness, neglects reward. So obviously he's not giving her something that she needs. And he acknowledges that, which is saying a lot because most guys don't. And it was my fault, or wasn't it? He doesn't even know. Her self-destruction killed the spark, exhausted smoke and noxious flame. Whoa. So I think he's saying they're both guilty, really. I gave her notice. I like that. I'm leaving you before neglect swept over me. Who's neglecting who is what I want to know. Really, really good. And a lot of people are in this situation. Whose fault was it? Playing the blame game and all that, but that doesn't really matter at the end of the day, you know. Two people have to show up. Two people have to want to be there. And if they don't, it's not going to work out. Great job, Gerald.
Yeah, I agree. Right, Rack, your comment.
Yeah, there's a classic argument about there being three sides to the story: his side, her side, and the truth. You know, a lot of times things are contextual, and you know, it's my fault or was it? You know, it's an open mind. Admitting, well, no, it's not even that he doesn't know. He's got an open mind about it, because of course you think you're right. It's like that's my one. You know, it infuriates me when someone will look at you and say, "Oh, you always think you're right, don't you?" No, I only argue when I think I'm right. Am I going to argue if I think I'm wrong? Obviously not. If I could back up what I'm trying to say, you know, that's why I'm arguing. That's why I'm opening my mouth. It's because I think I have a point. Obviously, you have a different point, and we may not agree about, you know, what the, you know, the basis for this is. But you know, maybe we'll figure it out. Maybe we won't. You know?
Can we agree to disagree?
And that's the circular logic that he brings about in this for me that I really appreciate, because you know it's all how you look at things sometimes, and you know that other expression comes to mind. Well, let's just agree to disagree. You know, it's like sometimes people are too hard-headed to listen to other people's arguments, but for me, again, this poem says, you know, well, I've got an open mind. I was wrong, you know, and was I? Yeah. So
communication's key, fellas.
Well, that's growth. That's growth. But you know, like Boo said, you know, we know we were wrong.
Yeah. Or you could just learn what my dad told me a long time ago. He learned like 57 years ago the key phrase, "Yes, dear." Saves a lot of time.
Well, a better version of that is "Happy wife, happy life."
There you go. Happy life, happy wife. No, happy wife, happy life. Right? I'm gonna remember that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lots of food for thought in that. Well, you know, it leaves you thinking. You know, if he's repeating it, is he trying to convince himself that he in fact was right? You know, like a lot of times we do that to ourselves as well in different situations where, you know, we try to push our agenda on something that we're trying to evaluate. We're trying to take an outside stance. We're trying to say, okay, well, you know, this was a situation. And it's like, was I really in the wrong? Because, and it's like,
we're seeking validation.
Exactly. So, and then usually, if you have to try so hard to persuade yourself, then it's just like, no, well, you were obviously wrong.
Well, you know, the idea that, you know, you could be so sure of yourself, and then when someone just keeps insisting, no, you're wrong, that's enough to put a doubt in your mind. I think, you know, there's a point where, you know, I'm certain, and then someone says, but are you sure? You know, and it's someone that you respect, someone whose opinion you value. It's someone, you know, who has a higher status for whatever reason, and they make you doubt yourself. You know, it's like
it's called gaslighting.
Well, you know, again, all good conversation.
Well, no, exactly. I mean, I lived with he was actually one of my best friends. I lived with this guy, and we would always play chess, and then we'd have these. Both of us, we studied A-level Cambridge philosophy, and you know, we'd have these conversations, and because all of our views were generally the same, we'd argue on the opposite viewpoint, almost just to be like play devil's advocates / be a bit of a prick / a bastard, you know, just try and be difficult. And then, you know, we'd find out so many different things, and we'd have so many different, we'd leave with so much after that, having these conversations. Whereas in the beginning of the whole chess game, our views were exactly the same and we agreed completely. But then in the end, by saying things that we didn't actually believe, and you formulate new ideas, so it's something to contemplate, definitely.
My mom used to say, do you want to be
So,
married or do you want to be right? I want both. You can't have both. So, I don't know.
Well, sometimes you have to do as a referee does and flick a coin, don't you? So our last one for this evening is by Buddha. We got a song, and this is actually one of the first I've ever heard of his. So I'm going to drop it on the board, and then Boo, you've got the audio.
Right. Yep. I can't read it. That's good. Okay. Bud's got a lot, so it should be the first one. What's the name?
Okay, this is called A Better Man.
Better Man?
Oh, A Better Man. Uh-oh. Sounds familiar. Like a song I know.
Well, that's because Pearl Jam did that song.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Sorry.
I had a dream of 1,000 souls on fire, screaming please for a better life than seen, asking peace in a war on calamity, asking this from you and from me. It would take a man of honesty to break the chains of bondage and set us free. It would take a better man than me. It would take a better man than me. All the memories of past transgressions fell. My future lies of thoughts that now reflect. How can we do what is right in times like these, and pave the way to a brighter light to see? It would take a man of honesty to break the chains of bondage and set us free. It would take a better man than me. It would take a better man than me. had a dream of 1,000 souls on fire, screaming pleas for a better life than seen, asking peace in a war of calamity, asking this from you and from me.
Great song, Budo. Thank you so much for dropping that for us. And one of the things that we started with, from Lawrence through to Selwa and throughout tonight, and looking at various artworks and how we relate to them and how we interpret them, is not only to bemoan our current situation or have a negative outlook, but some of the things that you ask and that you lay, what is right in times like these, and to then pave the way for a brighter light to see, which we should all try to do. As you've done, you've written about the song by Rush. It was inspired. There we go again. And yeah, I find it really, really, really admirable that your songs also stand as poems. I think that's great. I don't think any of my songs that I've ever written, work outside the realm of being a pop song. They all are song lyrics, they aren't poems. But you managed to capture that. I just want to add before we end, we're going to get a comment from Rack and then from Boo, is that tomorrow at noon Eastern is Our House with JCA.
No.
And everyone's welcome to call. It's open poetry, so drop anything you'd like on the board for us, and we'll look forward to that. And then everyone that's contributed to tonight, those that called in, Rack, thank you so much for hanging out with us throughout the whole night. Raz, thanks for calling in. Salwa, thanks for calling in. Rose, Sweet Pea, those that were on the board, Momo, Tila, Laughing Soul, OG, everyone else that was hanging out with us. We appreciate you all. Thanks so much. We couldn't do this without you. We love you all. Rack, thanks.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Budo's. I keep saying I'm going to buy Winter Sandy so I could throw them at him. Because I don't. Well, anyway. I enjoy his stuff. The lyrics to this, it's very contemplative, and it's a serious subject. He makes it sound a little more lighthearted, I think, than it is. It's thoughtful, and he says it in a beautiful way, and it's very concise and direct. It'll take a better man than me. That thought, that idea, that admitting that he's got work to do. That there's a sense of modesty to that too. That again, a lot of people don't always exhibit. It's just with the lyrics and everything. He does a beautiful job with his rights and his songs. I really liked it, Budo.
Absolutely. So Boo, your comment, and then we're going to leave you with something by Boo, her version of her own prompt, the song by Evanescence, My Immortal. And thank you all for hanging out with us. Thanks you all for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks.
We'll see you next time. Boo.
Thanks for hosting, by the way. You did a great job. Rack, thanks for hanging out, as always. My true pal there. I think what Rack said about a lot for someone to say that I need to grow, that we need to change. And I think that if you can be with someone and make it through that, that's really what real love is. And it's almost sad in a way. It's like you need to take a better man. Like he doesn't feel like he's good enough. And, you know, sometimes we don't all feel like we're good enough, especially if you're with someone. This is like so great you can't even believe it. Asking peace and war and calamity, asking from you, from me. And he always puts his heart on the line. Like, I know he's been with his gal like 13 years off and on. I think they're back together now, which would be good. It would take a better man than me. It's sad and it's truthful. And he wants to break the chains because she's got him so much, you know, on her hold, but he just can't. And Buddha, you are a good man. So if anyone tells you you're not, then you need to kick her ass to the curb.
All right. Okay, Boo. Play the song. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Rack. Let's see if I had it up here, but I'm surprised nobody wrote to this, actually. I was going to, but I just couldn't come up with anything. Believe it or not.
I wrote to it.
Yeah, so did Joseph.
Oh, okay.